Welcome to the Mental Pulse podcast. Today we have with us UH softball's head coach, Miss Les Stuedeman. Welcome, Les.
Thank you.
All right, so thankful to have you join us today, and thank you for accepting the invitation. So Les, to get us started, tell us who you are, your background, and your athletic identity story.
I am Les Stuedeman. I am the head softball coach at the University of Alabama in Huntsville. This will be team 28 for me, which, I got the job when I was 12. So it's actually one of my friends, when I took the job here, she didn't want me to move up here. And she said, that job's going to be a dead end. And she was right. It has been. So I've been here as a career. This has been my career at UAH in softball. And I am from Vestavia, Alabama, a suburb of Birmingham. I grew up there, and I have a brother and a sister. And I'm married. I have two sons, a 21-month-old and a 4-month-old. So that's been, late in life, mom has been a lot of new learning. A lot of learning has been going on the last 21 months. So that's a little bit about who I am. So I'm a daughter, a sister, a wife, a mom, a coach. So my athletic origin story, I would say, hold on. I meant to show you this earlier too. See that right there?
Oh my goodness.
That was my mom. That was my mom's view for my life right there. Okay, so that just, how long that lasted too.
No.
Not long. As soon as I learned how to play softball and basketball, I was not having that. I quit brownies in the 3rd grade because you had to wear a dress. It just was not, the dresses and the curling, all that stuff just was not me from the start. So I love sports, played softball. I had to play basketball in the boys league and kids. And so when I got to middle school in 7th grade, there was nothing for girls. And we played rec things in the summer and rec ball in the winter for basketball and stuff. But really, there was nothing organized through the school for girls. So my parents were part of a group of other parents, because we had a great group of women my age. And they went to the school board and basically forced the school board to start offering athletics for girls at our middle school. And so we started in 8th grade with volleyball and softball, and the coach they hired, her name was Fran Brash, She had been the women's basketball coach at UAB, the very first one, and she didn't want to do that anymore. And she had worked a year at IBM, and she really wanted to coach. And so they found her. So she walked into our gym at Fizitz Middle School, and she opened her mouth, and I knew immediately what I wanted to be when I grew up. And her love was basketball. And so that my love became basketball. And my senior year, she moved, after that first year, she moved up to the high school and took over the high school basketball program. And my senior year, we won the big school state championship. At that time, it was 6A. And that really, I knew I wanted to coach. I thought I wanted to coach basketball. Really, softball was my better sport. I was a better softball athlete, an athlete geared more for softball, built more for softball. So I signed out of high school to go to Sanford in volleyball and softball. And I loved Sanford. It was right there close to my parents. I loved it. But I also knew I wanted to coach, and Sanford was not at that time investing that much in women's sports. And so my thought was, I need to get to a place where I can find a coach who can teach me what I don't know. Not for an 18-year-old kid to say what I don't know. I had some great coaches coming through. So I knew what great looked like, and we didn't have it at Sanford. And so I was hungry for that. So I left Sanford and went to Huntington, played for another just huge, impactful role model in my life, Tina Callardees. And I'll say, whereas Fran really gave me a inspiration, Tina really kind of squeezed me, like squeezed it out of me. She got every ounce out of me. So really two different styles as people and coaches. But that started it. Both of those things, girls basketball in 8th grade, volleyball in 8th grade, and then getting to Huntington and seeing what a real tough female college coach would be like. Those were just two crucial things in my origin story. I mean, they're just both knees, both of them. So.
Okay. So, but at Huntington, Les, you was a stud. You was an All-American, right?
Well, we had a great team. We did. I was good. I was good at everything, T. I mean, I just was. And I really wanted to be. We had a pitcher who played in the Canadian. She played for Canada in the Olympics in 1996. So we had a great pitcher. When I was in high school, our arch rival at Vestavia was Barry, which is now Hoover. Barry was awesome my freshman, sophomore, and junior year. My junior year, they lost a bunch of great players who went on to play college, and they had gone to the Final Four all 3 years and lost. And my coach drove us to the Final Four, and I had this, I'm like, I know we can make it there. I had this vision as a 17-year-old kid, we can make it there, we can get there, and we can win. And I wish that kid existed in my heart today, because I willed that to happen. I believed it, and the people around us believed it, and I took that to college with me. I knew we could I wanted to go to the national tournament. I wanted to play in the World Series, and to do that, I had to be a great player. And so that's what I did for our team. And we finished third. We finished third my senior year at the national tournament. And that was really our first year that we were really great. We were good before that, but we were really, really great. And the program went on to do that 3 more times. And then Coach Dee's got the job. She started the program at Auburn. So, I felt like I was a really big part of what Huntington became in softball. And, Coach Dees was just so good. Just such a great teacher of the game.
Right. And I do think coaches are very vital. When you talk about your coach from the early years, I think of your friend is the person I actually met you through was Miss McBrayer. She definitely was, to this day, she's my favorite coach because she instilled so much in me in my middle school years at Chapman Middle School. And she got so much out of me. As you talk about what your college coach did for you at Huntington, she squeezed you. Miss McBrayer got everything out of me. And I to this day, I wish, all my coaches got everything out of me like they could have and should have. But she definitely instilled in me a great foundation in regards to, what a coach is. And as I coached at Madison Academy for years at girls basketball, I definitely tried to model what she modeled and what she did, in my coaching when I played for her at Chapman Middle School. So that's very vital.
Yeah, I don't know that. She probably does not attach herself to the impact that she's had. She probably doesn't attach to it enough, what the impact she's had on so many of the girls that came through Chapman. But the ones she impacted you, and then the kids that you've impacted, and then the kids that they'll impact, the ripple of that is infinite. And, it's just something that, we as coaches, McBrayer as your coach, you as the Madison Academy coach, that we don't get, we don't thank ourselves enough for, we don't credit ourselves enough for, we don't get thanked enough for. I mean, it is a thankless job, but McBrayer and I are the same age. So like, we came from a time when we were lucky to have it. And so we're both pushy because you need to take advantage of it. And that's, anyway, I'm glad you mentioned her. That's,
Yeah, I love Miss McBrayer. I love her a lot. So going back to you being basically a three sport athlete, right? Volleyball, basketball, and softball. I mean, how was it? Like, did you like, you said you're really good in basketball, but did you say that you were that three sport athlete? Were you just
no,
fixated on that thought?
no, back in the day, I mean, you just went from one thing to the next. And, um, you just played what was in season. With volleyball season, we played volleyball. Basketball season, we played basketball. Basketball season, I mean, softball season, we played softball. And in the summer, you played what the thing you wanted to play. Some people played basketball and softball. Some people played just softball. So, no, there was never I'm a three sport athlete, or I'm a this, or I'm going to specialize. There really wasn't much opportunity to specialize. In the late 80s for women, for girls. So that came along about 5 or 6 years later, and we've just seen the tremendous growth of specialization for athletes, for kids.
Absolutely. They're specializing really early these days, which is kind of scary with me having a 3-year-old. Like, I mean, when do we make that decision on what he's going to play, if he's going to play? And so feels like a lot of pressure to make those decisions on specializing at an early age. So, but how was it though, Les, when you played the two sports at Sanford and two sports at Huntington, though, volleyball and softball? I mean, that's not common. Most people, athletes, go to school to play one sport, and the fact that you play two sports in a cell, that is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that's what we did. That's what I did. I didn't feel like anything extra special. It did not feel like, I did not play volleyball at Huntington. So when I got to Huntington, I was just doing one thing.
Okay.
I mean, it sucked because I was having to do the conditioning for softball. So, and in high school, if you didn't do something, you were running track. So I did letter in track, but it was in the field sport. So I was not going to be, I'll find something to do, not to have to run on that track. I can tell you that.
Right.
So, yeah, it was great. I loved it. Any opportunity to compete, I was down for it. Volleyball, basketball, softball. I did not love training. And so, you to go from one thing to the other fueled what I love, which was the winning and competition and the team. And, I'm ashamed to say that preparation and practice were never like what I did love doing that though. I did love it, but like the things that I love about sports are the people and the competition and what winning does to groups. Obviously to have any of that, you have to have preparation and practice, but that was not, I practiced hard to get to be good.
Gotcha.
To get to go to the games. And it was, the games were, I live for it.
Absolutely. So talk about your your support system when you was an athlete. Talk about who your support system was.
Well, my parents were very supportive of us. My dad coached. He mostly coached my sister, but my dad coached. My mom worked in the ballpark and, helped anything that we were involved in. They were involved in some way at some level where it was appropriate. And then, when I got to college, my sister played there too. So we had each other, we lived together, we had each other. And sometimes that was support and sometimes it was the opposite of support.
Right.
But we had each other and we've always pretty much, she kind of followed me into coaching. And so we've always sort of had each other as a support system in coaching too. So that's
good.
Now my brother coaches, so we've got That's all we freaking talk about it.
Where does he coach at?
He coaches boys basketball at Coleman.
Okay.
He's in the second year, and we're real proud of him. He's doing great there. He won a state championship last year and has just kind of revitalized their whole program.
Awesome. Awesome. And your sister coaches where?
She is the pitching coach at the University of Illinois.
Oh, wow. It's pretty nice. Pretty cold,
Yeah.
but pretty nice.
It's actually snowed this morning, so she
Wow.
her first season there, so she's trying to mentally prepare herself for the snow.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So as far as your transition from an athlete to a coach, I mean, talk about that. How was that? How did that manifest itself out?
Well, my dad claims that I was never on a team I didn't coach, even at like 8 and under. So, let's see. I went to, after Huntingdon, I went to Livingston, which is now West Alabama, to get my master's and work under Janet Montgomery. She was the softball and volleyball coach there, and just a tremendous teacher. I wouldn't say that like Janet and I, it's not the same type of affinity that I feel for Fran and Tina. It's different. But at the same time, she really did give me an opportunity to fail. She gave me projects where I was responsible for something with the team, and she wasn't afraid to let me coach. She wasn't afraid to let me, do anything. And I was very eager to coach and learn. And I'm sure that it was probably tough. I was probably tough to manage, but she was a very good mentor, and really did. I got a great opportunity there to coach, and I learned so much by watching her, and the things that there are things that I learned off the field and how to do things off the field, and service to the sport and to our coaches that I never had any, I never had an example of that. And she did a lot of that and encouraged that. And she understood how things work. And so, usually I'm like, wow, let's just fight it out. And she knew how to get things done. She's a politician, anyway, she taught me a whole lot about things and how to get things done off the field without fighting. And I mean, fighting by being overly pushy, which I can still be, but she was just a very brilliant tactician. She's still working down there in administration. So, anybody in college athletics over 30 years, I mean, they've got some smarts, and she does. And she was instrumental in me getting this job at UAH. She was, she basically told UAH to go hire me from Hewitt, and so UAH did. And I really have always just been very grateful and appreciative of that.
Okay. Hey, that's vital. Having those off the field skills are very vital. Off the court skills are very vital for life. Those life skills are very vital. So the fact that she was able to teach you that and actually, recommend you to go to UH, I mean, that's pretty nice. So since you've been to UH, what, 28 years, right? 28 years. So, I mean, tell me how that's been. I know you have had a successful career at UAH. So talk about your time at UAH.
Well, when I came here, there was no, it is much like the state championship in basketball, and a lot like what we did in softball at Huntingdon. I had a very clear vision of what I wanted this program to be. And when I came here, there were no scholars. There were 3 scholarships and a 0 budget. So me and the girls had to raise all of the budget. I was hired June 1st, and we had to have a team here by August 1st.
Oh, geez.
So that was an uphill climb, and I had a good insight into where a lot of players were. We had tons of great talent in the state. So I was able to get a really good core group of kids. And really just brick by brick built it. And with every success that we were able to have, both on the field and off, UAH saw the value. And at every critical intersection for me in terms of my time here, UAH there was no hard decision to just stay straight. I mean, there was no hard decision. I mean, I believe that UAH has invested in me. I believe they've invested in our softball players, and this program. And, my hope is that it's paid off. That investment I'm worthy of that investment, that our players are worthy of that investment, that we're giving back and coming back, and we're out in the community and living next door to people. And they're like, wow, she played softball at UAH and she's a great neighbor and she works at
right
wherever, and she's a great teacher. She's a great nurse. She's a great engineer. She's a whatever. It's great mom, great, whatever. It's an investment that I take very personally and very seriously, and that, I'm very grateful for it, because, being able to stay in one place for a long time, people just don't do it. And
they don't. It's very rare that you hear somebody that has one stop in the college athletic, arena. I mean, when I came back from Georgia State and started working at Raytheon, my college coach, called me to come back to be a director of basketball operations. Well, at that time, I liked my job and I liked the money I was getting, and to go and back for not much money, I was, to live in Atlanta for not much money, I was like, no, I'm gonna pass. But that was one of the things I've always wanted to coach, but I never really wanted to coach college, because you got to be willing to travel all the time and be willing to move it, because it's your livelihood. And so it's pretty remarkable that you have been able to stay at one place for that long length of time. And I'm sure this will be, your final destination. So talk about your teams. I mean, like I said, you've had a successful career over these 28 years, but like, what foundation are you setting? Like, what's your foundation from a team perspective? And when you look for girls to recruit, like, what kind of girls are you looking for them to have?
Well, the first thing that we have to look for is a match to UAH academically. I mean, if we brought players here who did not understand or appreciate the level of academics here, then it would hurt us on campus. I mean, I'm the UAH coach. UAH, the freshman UAH ACT average is 28. And I don't have to have everybody have a 28, but that's where we need to be recruiting what UAH is recruiting, because I'm the UAH coach. I'm bringing kids to UAH. I'm bringing UAH students. I've always understood that mission. I've always believed that we could have a great program within that, within those parameters. It does narrow who you're looking for. Okay, so it starts out with that. It starts out with, what does a UAH kid look like, and can we get them here? And really the next thing, which I don't know that anybody else does this up here at UAH right now, but I've always wanted kids within a 50-mile radius. I've always wanted hometown folks, because their parents are going to come, they're going to settle here, they're going to come back, they're going to stay in touch. I'm going to know what they're doing. I mean, we have a former player whose mom died this weekend, and I was able to drive over to the funeral yesterday. I mean, that's terrible. It's awful. And I was able to be there, with their family. And that over a long period of time, that type of thing over a long period of time was something that I valued early on. Being able to have that, I valued that. So there are still things that happen where somebody will drop by here with their kids, and I'm like, I just never considered that this was going to feel this great. Seeing somebody with their kids, that they bring their kids to meet me, they want me to meet their kids. I mean, that kind of stuff is just, but I knew that having people that were close to here, that would settle here, come back here, was it going to be important to having a great foundation. So those two things, academics and the 50-mile radius, then just really tough kids who understand that they're probably going to hate me for 4 years, going into it, that they were embracing that. So that, just really hard-nosed. And, sometimes the toughest, hardest-nosed kids come from the sweetest, most quiet parents you've ever met. I mean, so figuring out who was going to be a great fit for me and who I was going to be a great fit for, matching that up has been critical. And then on top of all that, just a relentless desire to win. I need to be around people who are that way, because that's the way I am. And I mean, if we're playing spades, if we're playing rook, if we're playing Pictionary, I'm going to take the same trash talking, hardcore mentality to it that I do anything else. And so having those type of, I've had 2 players in the history of this program beat me in ping pong. Okay. So having like-minded kids is critical. So that's sort of the foundation. I mean, has every kid fit every little pillar? No. When you get to a certain point with a certain amount of kids academically, you can get outside of that range a little bit. I've had players that came in here with a 3.0 and a 21 ACT and never made below a B here. Have great jobs, great careers. Learning how to judge what the ACT score means and what the value of the degree means, there is a disconnect there, because if a young woman really understands what the degree from here will do for her, I don't need them. I don't need to have study hall, because she is going to do everything she can to get that degree, because it means a life change for her. And so that's one area I've in terms of academics, where I'll veer off the lane a little bit, especially if I feel like that person has the right mindset about the school.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I know you can probably kind of figure out a balance if you have one high student and, maybe not a few not so high students as student athletes, you can kind of balance it from that regard. So completely understand. And academics is very vital. I mean, getting a degree from University of Alabama, Huntsville. I mean, I got my master's from University of Alabama, Huntsville in computer engineering. And so it was very hard. It was a very hard academic school, especially while I was working at Raytheon at the time. So getting a degree from UH is very, very, it's very impressive to employers around this area, especially in Huntsville, but also other places as well. So getting a degree from UH is a plus going to the next phase of life. So
the other thing about that, T, is going back to what Janet taught me at West Alabama is, when I first got here, nobody knew me. I mean, I was a kid, and so if I was trying to fight for somebody to get in, I was spending all this, I was going to have to spend a lot of equity on campus, a lot of time on campus, I was going to have to push a lot of people on campus to get kids in. And it wasn't a fight that I wanted to fight in those first few years. But when I got my feet under me and I realized that we could help kids, I mean, kids who have a 21 ACT can make great grades here. You don't have to have a 28. That's just what that's what we're getting. So anyway, it was that's pick your battles. That was not a battle I wanted to fight early on. And so I very intentionally targeted kids I knew were going to thrive here, or that who on paper in the university standards were going to thrive, because I didn't want to fight anybody on campus for,
Right.
to get
Correct.
students. That's what our job is to get students. And early on, it was tough. So it's not that way anymore. Everybody here understands we're here because we have students. Back then, it wasn't quite like that.
Absolutely. But I mean, you have definitely developed a reputation of having successful student athletes and having successful programs. So you have gained their trust and gained, their heart at the same time. So, I mean, that's kudos to you, what you have done and what you stand for, Les.
The girls.
Well, kudos to the girls, but it starts at the helm too. So that's kudos to you. So you have done a remarkable job at UH as in the softball program. So, but just before we get out of here, so what's next? I mean, I know you've been there 28 years. You got some young kids, now. I mean, what's next?
Well, I mean, I'm on the back end of this whole deal. I really don't know. I mean, I really like where we are. The program's in great shape. We have a fantastic assistant. Just incredible kids. I'm so excited about the leadership of our department, the leadership of the university. And, I'm not really ready to hang it up yet. And if I was going to have to say what's next after coaching, I hope there's something for me here to do, whether it be as a volunteer or whether it be another place on campus. I feel like I'm a UAH person, even though I don't have a degree from here. I feel like I really believe in our mission. I believe in our students, and I really don't know what that looks like. I don't see myself as a 60-hour-a-week administrator. I mean, so I don't know, but whatever the future holds, I hope that UAH is a part of it, because I love it here, and it has been more than just a job for me. But I don't know. We're not there yet. I mean,
yeah, so, not trying to rush you.
Not trying to rush you out the door. I don't have any clarity on that yet, but we'll see. As soon as those boys start playing sports, maybe I'll be a retired rec ball coach.
Let me tell you, when my son just started doing soccer this past fall, I mean, just being out there and seeing him run around, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I coach him in the near future, just because, I mean, I just love that. I love that, just being able to be sports and young kids. I mean, sports is just where my heart is, honestly. And to actually have my son doing it is pretty cool.
The joy of that is, it's addicting. It is. The joy, that just initial, I'm in love with throwing the ball in the house is just, it's absolutely so addicting. So I would not be surprised even if it's, I don't know what else. I mean, maybe not sports, but I don't know what else it would be, but following them around doing whatever they love to do, I think I would probably really enjoy experiencing that.
Yeah. One last thing, I know I have said that's the last question, but just kind of want to discuss, just talk about leadership, the value of leadership when it comes to a team. I mean, we kind of been talking about a team perspective throughout this conversation, but talk about leadership and what value it has done for your program. And I know you mentioned you had a good assistant, and you mentioned that there's some good leaders within the university and the athletic structure of UAH. So just talk about that for a second before we get out of here.
Are you talking about leadership within the hierarchy of our team, or are you talking about leadership within UAH, or
leadership within the hierarchy of the team?
Okay, well, first of all, I think that probably we have established that our seniors will end up leading us. I've read a lot about whether that is the best, sort of like you just by virtue of how long you've been there, you're going to be the leader. And I've read some stuff on that, about that not being positive, but this is why it is good for this program. The way that I coach, a lot of times the story that gets told in my player's head is, she don't believe in me. She doesn't want me to do good because I'm hard. I notice everything that's wrong. I could do so much better at pointing out the good things. And I am wired in a negative way. I'm wired in an old way. So what I'm doing is saying, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this, I don't want that. And so a lot of times that creates a self-talk in an athlete of, she doesn't like me, she doesn't want me to do good, she doesn't want to play me. It becomes a complete and total misrepresentation of what it is.
Mhm.
And to get on the same page takes time, takes trust. So the reason that usually our seniors are our leaders is because by the time they get to their senior year, they understand where I'm coming from. We've probably had it out. We've probably had a tough meeting. We probably had a cry. We've probably been to lunch a million times. I mean, by the time that they've spent 3 years with me, they're as close to getting me as they're going to be until they're done playing, because there's no teacher like having no softball ahead of you. You probably understand that as an athlete.
Absolutely.
And so then like, you're like, oh yeah, that's what she meant. 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 So that's having seniors who have been through the fire, who know my heart, who know me. They've been in my home. They've seen me with my kids. They've seen me at my worst, and I've seen them at their worst. And that is a major experience factor that helps keep us together. Because, if you've got 20 people with that same story in their head and nobody's saying, look, stay to it, stay the course, stay the course, stay the course, you'll have 10 people in the transfer portal every spring.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that I really make a concerted effort to get to know each class of kids at a different level, higher level every year. And by the time that they're seniors, if I have their trust and their belief and they have mine, we've been able to whip some ass.
Yeah.
When we get like that, you cannot teach it, you can't coach it, you can't rectify it, you can't recruit it. It takes experience and belief and love and trust. And you cannot do anything except for work at it. And so by the time kids get their senior time here, I've been fortunate enough to be able to get to know those kids enough to where they can help me keep from destroying what we built. Because
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I do really care. And I've really tried to adjust, and there's still going to be that story in people's head, and helping me with that, helping our younger players with that is really, my seniors are our connectors. They're connectors. And that's what our leaders need to be able to do. I'm strong. So there's things that I can do that they don't have to do, but I also need them to connect me to the rest of the team. And when we have connectors, really great connectors, even if we don't win every game, everybody feels like a winner at the end. And that's, I want to win every game, but there's more to this than just winning every game.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's one thing that I learned in college is it's more mental than it is physical when you get to that level. And as you stated, like those freshmen, I mean, the freshmen, if you're not from that environment, that type of coaching atmosphere where you have somebody hard nosed and really on your case, it definitely can get the best out of you and definitely can start a lot of negative self-talk. And so having that senior, the upperclassmen to kind of help, kind of mellow things out from both perspectives. But it also takes, a lot of work from, the coach standpoint as well as the player standpoint to get on that same page. But yeah, that's very vital to have that leadership from the upperclassmen to kind of smooth things out and make things more cohesive between the team. So
More and more athletes are coming into college and they played on teams where there's no bench.
all
And
right.
also they played on teams that don't practice.
Mm-hmm.
So you take the fact that they're coming into a situation where they're actually having to compete for a position, that creates an environment for a negative self-story.
Yeah.
And then you combine that with they've never had practice. So they may have played for a hard coach in a game, but a hard coach in practice who's on, we're taking 100 ground balls and 80 of them ain't good enough. I mean, that is a shift in what I'm seeing as opposed to what I saw when I first started doing this, where they don't know how to practice. They don't know how to be coached in practice. They may know how to do a lesson, but in terms of a team practice and what that looks like and what success in practice as a team looks like, whereas where if we don't get 20 bunts down, everybody's going to run or whatever it is, there's a lot of adjustment to that. And experience to me for us in this program for what we do is critical to leadership.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time to be a guest on our podcast today. I really appreciate it. And I really thank you for joining us on this podcast, Les.
I'm proud of you, T. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You have McBrayer on. Make her get on.
I will definitely make sure I get her on. Hey, you take care and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.